Conversations with Brooke Allen.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen. This is Season 2, Episode 15. Of course, we are broadcasting live from the Imagine Palladium in Birmingham. Thank you so much. A big thank you, actually, to Jordan and Kyle and her team at the Imagine More Studios. And, of course, a big thank you to my team who braved the snow this morning. So, big question for you. How was your Valentine's weekend? Well, the kids had a half day, and I said that they could pick anywhere they wanted to go for lunch. So I wasn't really sure where we were going to end up. We went to Red Lobster. They were all about the biscuits. It was, it's what they love, and they love looking at the lobsters in the aquarium, whatever that is. So Red Lobster is where I went, and then later I stopped by Alchemy in Royal Oak, and if you haven't been, it is really a beautiful restaurant, excellent food. Chef Johnny is amazing. They were packed, and then I was at home by 8 o'clock watching Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, and asleep by 10:30. So happy Valentine's Day to me.
That's amazing.
Exactly. So, and then Saturday, I was honored to MC for the very first time at the historic Redford Theater for the matinee performance of Casablanca. And in full disclosure, I am not a romantic person by any means, but I was going to leave by intermission just because I was like, oh, you know what, I can go now. It was riveting. I'd seen it before, but never on the big screen. And it was, the real popcorn. It was amazing. And so I ended up staying, and it was such a fun crowd. In fact, Barbie and her husband, Jeff, were there. And then Ben's dad, Ben, who runs our cameras for us, his dad, John, is actually the organist, one of the organists there at the Redford Theater. And he was amazing. I told Ben before the show that, Ben, your dad kind of scared me a little. I was a little intimidated by him, but he was fabulous, and everyone just loved him. And, of course, if you've never been to the Redford Theater, check them out. All the classics. They've got Dr. Zhivago coming up and also Gone with the Wind. And, of course, I do have to give a big shout-out to Motor City Java House. They are just a few storefronts down from the Redford Theater, and they were amazing. And, fun fact, if you take your ticket from the Redford Theater over there, they'll give you a discount. So, I'm all about the discounts, right? So, again, that is Motor City Java House, right down like 3 storefronts from the Redford Theater. Well, we are starting off our Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise segment, and I've got Melissa Coulier here and Melanie Samuel. They are the co-founders of Live Well, Lead Well, and they are hosting a seminar right here at the Imagine with an interactive, so the seminar and then an interactive Q&A. And that is happening on Wednesday. And thank you both for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, I've heard, it's so funny. So you live in California.
Yes.
So you haven't been.
Melanie, yeah.
Yeah, Melanie hasn't been around doing the media round, so to speak, right?
I was here in January, and we were able to do a little bit, but this is the majority of it.
Okay.
I'm excited to be here and start.
So then Melissa actually met my good friend Sandra at CBS. So that was fun, and it was
so funny, actually, when I met. So she brought me in, and she was like, oh, you get to be with Brooke soon, and you guys are going to have a great time. And then, 45 minutes go by, and this guy comes in, and he's, frantic. He's like, who are you? And I was like, Melissa Coulier. He goes, how'd you get in here? I've been looking for you for an hour.
Whoa.
I was like, oh. And I was like, Sandra let me in. He's like, Sandra doesn't usually let people in. I was like, I think she's a friend of Brooke's, so, I got to, come in with Sandra.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
He's probably, thinking, are you talking about Sandra the anchor let you in? How did she step away from the desk, right? Oh,
that's really funny, though.
That is awesome. So thank you both so much for being here. You flew in from California yesterday.
I did.
And I was super worried, thinking, any minute, right? I'm going to get the text that Melanie's not going to make it, but you did.
I did. I was determined to get here. I was I will be in Detroit
You
by
will
tonight.
be. Yes, you will. So welcome. And
Thank you.
I know you're in Thousand Oaks, right?
I am.
Yes. So I lived in California for years. So Melissa and I were talking, and I was just like, oh, Thousand Oaks. I love that. I miss it. So,
I love it. It's nice. We used to live in the city, and we wanted, we have a 3-year-old, and just wanted a little bit more normalcy, and it's beautiful. We're really lucky to live there.
I love that area. I miss it so much sometimes, right? Okay, so let's get down to business, ladies. Okay, so Live Well, Lead Well. That you are co-founders of this company. Who wants to explain to me what the title is, what it means?
Sure. So Live Well, Lead Well is a holistic wellness company that helps female leaders prioritize their health through functional movement, bio-individual nutrition, and intentional mindfulness. So a female leader could be so many different things, right? It could be someone who leads a team, somebody who is a C-suite, somebody who shapes policies, or even someone who's the leader of their household. So we truly believe that leadership is versatile.
And so you are very holistic, right? I mean, you're
Yeah, we both
Well, you
are.
both are,
I
but-
wasn't always.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about that.
So I was diagnosed with lupus in 2006, and I suppressed it for years just with medication. And so I was, eating whatever I wanted, drinking whatever I wanted, living a pretty stress-heavy burnout career. As in LA, I was in photography, and so it's a very competitive field, and so I just was suppressing, and it wasn't until I met Melanie, and we met because Dave, my husband, who is an actor on Full House and Fuller House, Dave Coulier, he was on Fuller House, and Melanie at the time was working in production.
Oh,
And so
that's how
they
you-
were friends first, actually.
Oh,
and
that's
then,
awesome.
yeah, and he was like, hey, I have a girl that I really want to introduce you to. I think you guys are going to be great friends. And sure enough, we were. It was like fast friendship. And I was kind of explaining how, what was happening in my body. And I never liked to open up about it because I thought it would limit me and my opportunities in order to have certain job opportunities. And so Melanie was like, well, interesting, because I have been really working silently on getting into holistic nutrition. And so I became her first client. And within 3 years of working together, I took it really slow. I introduced things slowly, and I think that was the best thing because that was sustainable for me. And within 3 years, I was off all medication.
Wow.
And I started feeling great in my body again. I mean, I was having intense pain.
Does stress trigger lupus, or
Yes.
it does, right?
Yes.
I mean, I've heard that it
Yeah.
does. Okay.
So, so when I had this revelation of wait, I'm not having weekly migraines. I'm not having monthly steroid injections, and I used to have fluid drained from my elbows and knees because my flare-ups got so bad. And I'm like, I can actually blow dry my hair without it hurting, and that was an aha moment for me. And I'm like, Mel, we got to tell other people about this.
Yeah.
We have to tell them that food can be medicine, and the way you move your body and the thoughts you tell yourself, and there's so much power that we have innately in us that we're not utilizing.
So,
So well said.
Melanie, are you still in the production business and all of that, or you stepped away
No,
completely?
I stepped away. So while Melissa was experiencing burnout, I also was experiencing burnout. And I have sort of a complicated history with food. I had disordered eating patterns up until my 20s. And when I was in the thick of production, I started sort of falling back into those patterns just because of work hours, and also sort of having this front row seat to how Hollywood deals with body image and some of the things that I would witness actors and actresses doing to fit into a costume, and things that, I heard on the sidelines.
right?
It is,
It's
it was. And I thought, there has to be some solution out there where we can actually do what's best for our bodies and not go through these extremes. And so Melissa said it perfectly when she said I was silently planning my exit, because I wasn't sure, because I'm
creeping out.
I have this dream job on paper.
Yes.
I've worked on all these amazing shows, and yet I'm unhappy, and I want my purpose started to really evolve. And so I left the business and went back to school and started my own practice, which then we eventually merged.
Okay, so how long has that been for you?
So that has been, 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in 2020, when the world shut
world
down,
shut down?
Yeah.
Melanie and I are like, perfect opportunity. Let's do a business.
Let's do something else. Yeah.
Let's create an LLC.
Literally. It was an LLC during
awesome.
COVID. Yeah.
So you mentioned disordered eating, and I know throughout my life, and I don't know that I've ever disclosed this publicly, but I did struggle, and my previous husband was killed suddenly in California. We lived there for years, and the grief kind of ate me up, literally, right? But so the grief ate me up, but then I wasn't eating. And then you go into the cycle, and to get out of that cycle is very tough. And you have, even talking about it right now, I can feel my heart starting to pound a little bit. But it's so important that a relationship we need, especially with food, is healthy. Right? So you guys, I mean, that's kind of what you guys do. And talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I'm really sorry you
I'm like,
experienced
oh my God.
that. No, I mean, it's amazing what food is such an epicenter for so many different things. And we cover so many different topics in our client work because of that. Some people will make these major connections between food and experiences because it is it's like this very complicated thing because it's emotional, but it's also a necessity. And so sometimes it's hard for people to compartmentalize those things and say, okay, well, how do I fuel my body for nourishment versus comfort or
the memories.
Or memories.
I mean, to me, that was the
so
huge thing for me. I was like, oh, well, he's gone, and I will never eat Italian food again, because he was full Italian. And I mean, but it's funny not funny, but I mean, how you do equate like the memories, the conversations. That's the name of the show, Caffeinated Conversations.
Yes.
Because to me, it's all about talking over that cup of coffee or talking over that meal. But sometimes you just can't.
Well, but that also is a great thing about food because it is something that connects us. It is such a form of connection. And I think it's about realizing that food can mold to your life. And it doesn't have to be the same meal that has the same connotation with it. Right. And sometimes we just need to seek comfort foods, but in a healthier way. And when we feel good physically after eating them, that's also a nice reassurance of like, okay, that actually comforted me in this moment, but it also nourished my body.
And I'm okay with that.
And I'm good with that.
Right? You don't have to wait the 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm talking about,
totally
right?
know what you mean.
The 20-minute timeline. And, and you're not, tapping your foot like, okay, is it 20 minutes yet?
And you're not in your head about it.
Right.
Food thoughts are very loud. And the more that we can not silence them because that's sort of rejecting them and we don't want to do that, but just having like a peaceful, quiet conversation in our head about food is when you know that you're also nourishing your body optimally because your blood sugar is balanced and that makes your emotions stable. And it's all this big puzzle that we just have to figure out. But the more we talk about it, the more you start to make these findings.
Right, and I think that's so important. So, okay, so Wednesday, you guys are having your seminar and Q&A here, and I know that you talk about resilience, you talk about leadership, and how do you tie this in? For the women who are coming on Wednesday, what can they expect?
Yeah, so they can expect a little bit deeper dive of our personal stories. We kind of weave in and out so that you really can understand that, to Melanie's point, what she said earlier with bio-individual nutrition, we each come from such a different place. We all receive the same messaging in marketing, but how does that affect us all differently? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Then we're going to dive into the actual steps that you can take in order to build this stress resilience. So, and in order for you to feel the best in your body. So we're going to give you tools on mindfulness. We're going to give you tools and ways that you can move your body. And then we're also going to talk about how to nourish your body and some simple practical things that people can apply right then and there.
I think that's part of it, right? Because people are like, do I have to do, how many steps is this?
Yeah.
And is this immediate? And then you get so gung-ho about it, and then all of a sudden you're like 2 days later, yeah, I'm done with that.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. We want to keep things, even from our personal experience, it's like, I feel I'm successful from small, conscious, and intentional moments of applying these tools. It's not this like sweeping, I'm giving up X, Y, Z
like cold
today,
turkey,
tomorrow, right?
Okay.
And it's like, that's how it's sustainable. We also talk about, the importance of 80-20, and Mel can kind of dive into what that means.
What does that mean, Mel?
Well, the 80-20, I like to call it the 80-20 lifestyle, not rule, because I don't like to use words like rules around food and movement because I think it creates this all or nothing sort of mentality. But 80-20 is just this like loose structure because some people don't do well with like, well, just listen to your body. What is it telling you? That's a lot for somebody who's just starting kind of tuning into those cues. So 80-20 is the idea that most of the time you are nourishing your body optimally from your kitchen.
Okay.
Because when we cook most of our food, we are more intentional about the ingredients we're using. We are less likely to be eating, ultra processed foods and inflammatory ingredients. And then 20% of the time is sort of this like flexibility where you can go to your favorite restaurant, like you were describing, and order what you want and enjoy it and be present and not in your head about it. And your body won't necessarily feel that, sluggishness or guilt afterwards because you are taking care of yourself most of the time. You're building this nice, strong foundation. But I think the key here is that the 80% and the 20% both bring joy. Right. Because we don't want one to be a chore or an obligation and the other to be a free-for-all.
Right. So the 20%, you hear, oh, Italian meatballs and, garlic bread. Yay.
Sure. Go for it. But listen.
But don't feel bad about it.
Right. And it doesn't mean you have to go crazy. It doesn't mean you have to not eat lunch before you go to dinner.
Right.
It's just you might be surprised when you give yourself that permission to, eat what you want and indulge in that moment. You might not go crazy, as they say.
Right.
It's like kind of like the how. So if you're having like a pizza party with all of your best friends and you are enjoying, a nice glass of organic wine or whatever, while eating pizza and having this like beautiful conversation with each other, you're going to feel different than if you come home, you're stressed from work, your boss is like on you about X, Y, and Z, your kids are screaming, they won't, go to bed.
Screaming, never.
Never. I mean, who has that problem?
That never happens.
And then you order pizza, you eat all the slices in this stress state of mind. Your body processes that different, right? So
That is
so well said.
So interesting. I never thought of it that way. I know you do talk about burnout a lot, right? So burnout is a huge issue. And it's funny because if I'm going to be, I guess I'm being completely honest today.
Let's do it.
Right? Let's just do it. The whole idea of, it's like, okay, well, let's go in the snow. It's so cold. And sometimes, let's face it, we all feel like we lose our mojo, right? And we feel like, oh, is the magic gone? And, what am I doing? And is this the right decision? But I think that's burnout to some degree because you get overwhelmed and then you get in that stress zone. And so how do you get out of that stress zone?
Yeah. That's a great question. And, burnout looks different for everyone. What you described, that's your burnout, right? And so somebody else might experience it totally differently. Maybe they're just up all night and they can't figure out why. Maybe are like you alluded to with like emotions being heightened. But to get out of it, it requires you to know those cues and to slowly react to them. And what small steps can you change in order to combat that? So if it's having trouble sleeping, for example, maybe you just are extra mindful with your evening routine and you start to unplug from technology a couple of hours before bedtime because maybe your stress bucket is overflowing because you're doom scrolling at night.
Exactly.
And like that just sent you into burnout.
Wait, 1 minute.
Yeah, exactly. What else can you think of, Melissa?
Yeah, so another thing that we talk about is just setting like those boundaries, saying yes to the things that bring you joy and passing on the things that simply don't, that are adding to what Mel said is the stress bucket, right? We don't want that bucket overflowing. So we're constantly putting things in and we just need to kind of level it out. And a big thing for us is we pause before saying yes. So if you're invited somewhere, don't automatically think that you have to respond right away and be like, yep, I'm in, because you feel obligated because they showed up for you for one thing and another. And it's like, pause, look at your schedule, look at what's ahead. What do the kids have on the calendar? Are there hockey games on the weekend that you know is going to stress you out if you do a dinner that night before or whatever that looks like?
Look at the full picture.
Look at the full picture and then be like, is this going to bring me joy to fit in, or is this going to deplete my joy and make me a little bit more stressed? So it's kind of just taking a pause before making decisions.
Interestingly, women are more susceptible to burnout. Sorry, men, but it's true.
It's true, right?
It's true.
I mean, it just is.
Yeah.
We are more inclined to try to do it all.
Yeah.
We are more likely to experience imposter syndrome, to people please, and to strive for perfection.
Yes.
And I think acknowledging that it almost gives you a little bit of relief because you're like, okay, it's not just me. I'm not just trying to wear all the hats and do it all.
Right.
But we are more susceptible and therefore need to be more mindful of where we're putting our energy and where we are saying yes.
And I think there comes some guilt with that.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's the whole thing of, no, I've got to do it, or I should do this. Oh, my kids need to do this, and I need, and it just goes round and round, and you feel bad.
I mean, you fall into it all over. I mean, I fell into it yesterday. I'm like, I could have called probably 5 different people to come help shovel snow. My husband's going through chemotherapy, and so he was like, having a rough day. So I was like, I got this. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to make dinner, and then I'm going to go pick up Mel from the airport, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, why didn't I know? I'm like, my back's sore this morning. I'm like, why didn't I just call someone? I'm like, but I had this guilt to like, I don't need anybody. I'm not going to call on anyone. We're going to do this. And, in retrospect, so like we all fall into it still, even knowing the cues. But now I'm like, okay, note to self. Like, that's another thing that like I can, adjust.
I will say you pulled it off flawlessly, though.
So the shovel, the walk is shoveled.
Dinner was delicious.
You're here.
I made it. She did it.
So you managed it. But the whole idea of managing it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so at the end of last night, were you like, I can put my cape away today?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were going to like do a run through, and I was like, actually, I'm a little tired. I think I have to go to bed. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, would it have been more useful to remanage that end of day? But that's just something that like you have to keep
thinking about,
you
right?
have to just work at that. Yeah.
And surrounding yourself with people who support that. Not to give myself credit for all the work you did, but I was like, I think it's a good idea. Let's call it a night.
Yeah.
Had I said, you know what, let's push through.
Yeah.
You have to be able to read people's needs too. And I think that that's just a good note for friends and partners.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Because, you've
this
mentioned
topic.
stress, you've mentioned burnout, and, sometimes relationships just get to be a bit much. Mm-hmm. Right? And how years ago, I don't mind just disclosing this either. Years ago, I was involved in a relationship, and I really liked him. And he was like, this is so much work. And I was like, that's not nice. But then after I thought about it, I was like, that was a lot of work. And I don't know if it was the right kind of work. Right? Because we all know we have to put work into relationships. Yeah. Right? And kind of meet halfway and everything. But at the same time, when is it grueling? And you almost are like, what? I don't really want to see you today.
Totally. And where are you putting the work into?
Exactly.
Is it essentials? I think everyone should have non-negotiables. For me, communication is a non-negotiable. Okay. If I have to work, especially with someone you're in a romantic relationship with, I have to work on your communication, like that's a deal breaker for me.
I'm out.
Yeah. And everybody's entitled to feel that way. And I think it's the same thing goes for any relationship, right? You should have your non-negotiables. Where do you want to put the work into? And putting the work into it's not always fun, but it should feel rewarding.
Exactly.
And I do think also, like, to your point of relationships, I mean, that's in friendships too, that like Melanie, like, yes, you were like, hey, we're good. Like, respect the boundary. But we also have those like individuals in our lives that are like, I can't believe you're not going. Just go. Come on. I'll be there. I'll do this.
Try to talk you into it, right?
And it's the people who are trying to constantly stretch you thin. It's like, take note of those relationships and then take note of how you are with your friends too, of like, if someone's not up for it and they cancel last minute, can you just let them and just be like, no problem.
Right. I'm good.
Good for you.
Right.
Like, I'm glad that you're taking care of yourself if you need that. And like, another time, no problem.
Well, I think that's something that we all need to learn of. It's a boundary thing, but it's also what you just said, like, oh, you need to take care of yourself. I get that.
Yeah.
And we don't often allow people to say that or even feel that.
Yeah.
And that's something, my kids are 13, and I try to let them know, okay, listen, if you need to take a deep breath, go in the other room, or if you need to step back, the whole, I'm an only child, the sibling thing, oh my God, it drives me crazy. I'm like, what is happening? Why are they arguing so much? But the whole idea of, you kind of see this and you want to teach them to know how to step back and that it's okay to take a pause.
It's so true. It's so funny you said that. So when I said bye to my daughter yesterday, I was a little teary, and she goes, "It's okay, Mommy, just take a deep breath."
Oh, I love
And
that.
I was like, "Oh, you're absorbing what I tell you? Like, I love this." So
And she's 3?
She's 3.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Which, let's be honest, when I tell her to take a deep
Take a-
breath,
yes,
she does
she
not.
does not. Yeah.
But at least she's understanding the advice.
Right,
and I
right.
think, it does start at a young age. And I'm so glad you're, doing that with your kids. You know,
Thank
it's
you.
important to teach that emotional boundaries, emotional intelligence. From a
Well,
young
because
age.
I'm hoping, right, that it will stay with them,
Yeah.
Of course.
right?
Absolutely.
So, okay. So, I know you guys have a heart out, but I have a few more things I want to talk to you about. And then Jordan is here from Imagine. We're going to talk to her about all the events going on. Okay, so your event is Wednesday evening.
Wednesday evening, 5:30 p.m.
Okay, 5:30 p.m.
Yep.
And should people come in workout clothes? What are they doing?
Yeah, I think just
Comfortable
come comfy cozy. Like whatever makes you comfortable, like it's all about just absorbing the information. We will be doing like a few little interactive things, but nothing that's gonna like break
"Clap
a
and give me 10."
sweat.
I know, right? Boot camp. No.
Nothing
Not
that's
like that
gonna
at
make
all.
you break a sweat. So yeah, I think come comfortable. Yeah.
Or wear a dress.
And
Whatever is
open-minded.
comfortable for you. I think
That's what I mean.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Right. Whatever.
Whatever's
Okay, so
comfortable
whatever's
for you, and just come with an open mind and ready to just have a different perspective on how you can help change your life and feel the best in your body.
Okay, so you guys have this event Wednesday. There's another one in March, right?
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, March
All right.
26th.
Okay,
so-
you'll be back in town for that
I
too.
will.
Awesome.
Flight is booked.
Okay, we love that. We love that so much. So if you had one thing to say to any woman out there experiencing burnout, what would it be, Mel?
That's a good question.
I
think,
see you.
Yeah, I see you.
I feel
First of
you.
all, I feel you. You are not alone.
I am
but
here for you.
also listen to what your body is telling you. Because if I had one piece of advice for my, 22-year-old self, it would be to listen to what your body is telling you. And I think we're very used to suppressing signals, whether it be hunger or energy dips or fatigue or emotional heightenedness. That is a word, right?
It is now.
It is now. I coined it.
We
You're
deem
welcome.
it so.
To just listen and respond.
Okay. And how about you?
Yeah, similar. It's just what's the narrative you're telling yourself? Because I think mindset is a big component of where burnout starts. And that just comes from a personal place. I used to tell myself like, oh, I'm not enough in this area. I'm not enough here. I'm not enough here. I want to be independent. I don't need anybody. I don't need this. And that narrative and that loop brought me to burnout from trying to be enough in all of these capacities. And I think enough is also this like unrealistic mountain that we,
Right.
you know.
What is enough?
What
yeah,
is
what
enough?
is it?
How do we know when it's enough?
Exactly.
I know.
And
So many questions.
and so, yeah, if you can be an active listener to your body and change the narrative of like, how's my body feeling today? And doing a little bit of more of like quiet, reflective listening to the little whispers your body tells you.
Okay. All right. So you were not on the phone call that I had with Melissa the other day, but we talked about something that was very funny. I brought it up because you live in Thousand Oaks.
Okay.
And I had said that when, I lived in California for years, and I was always upset that the only Olga's was out in Thousand Oaks Mall.
Wait,
and
what?
Yes, but it's gone now.
No, okay.
Yeah, right? So then Melissa says, oh, I've never even been there.
Yeah.
So open it.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, I have a.
So I have to tell you that so Mel has her own story about Olga's, but this is Dave's dad was obsessed with Olga's. Like would
Really?
eat there all the time. He always wanted us to like go pick him up Olga's. Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
So in his honor, I'll enjoy this
Okay.
with Dave. Yeah, we'll have to go. Thank you.
So yes, so,
That's so sweet.
I thought that was it was so funny, and when she said Thousand Oaks, that's the one thing
I can't believe
yeah,
that.
because every time I would come home, I'd be like, I have to go to Olga's. I have to go to Olga's. It was my stop. And then funny side note, Barbie, who is the director and my stylist, we actually worked at Olga's together
Stop.
years ago and did not even realize it until probably a couple months ago.
I love
Wait,
it.
what?
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah, 'cause it was-
You didn't realize?
No, it was
You worked at the same
yes,
location?
years and years ago.
Wow.
And so finally it
Stop.
was like, hey, do you remember Sonia who got fired for taking a drink out of someone's Diet Coke? She's just like,
But stop! Did that happen?
That is incredible.
Oh my gosh! I feel like I would have been. I
yes.
probably would have gotten fired for
right?
that.
Yes.
Oh
so
my
yeah,
that feels like
So
something.
I was born in Toledo.
Oh, okay.
And Olga's was like the staple at the Toledo. Let's see, I don't want to get this wrong because I'm sure someone like knows what the mall
Right.
is called.
Okay.
But it's on Talmadge Road, and Olga's was like my comfort food as a kid. And my mom and I would go to lunch there, and I'd always get the like vegetable soup with the
the
thick,
peasant soup. Or,
Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh,
the peasant
the
soup.
peasant soup with those thick pita
Yes.
spiced.
Snackers.
You are bringing me back. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yes, that was like the taste of my childhood.
Oh, see, I love that. So see.
Okay, so the three of us will
Yeah.
have
So
to go
the three
today.
of you will go to Oga's.
Do they still have peasant soup and snackers?
Oh, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they've expanded their menu greatly.
I am gonna go full circle here.
That is. You guys have to send
This
me
is
a
your
picture.
20%.
Okay?
This
We're
is my
going.
20.
Yes,
20,
20%. I want a picture of all of you at Oga's,
Yes.
though. Okay.
Oh, I love
All right. So seriously, what a pleasure to meet you.
So nice
And
to
I'm
meet
so
you.
glad you made it in safely. And Thousand Oaks, I will always think of you now. And you know, I was a traffic reporter out in LA, so flying everywhere. And you know, covering the fires, the floods, the earthquakes. You know, so I know how tough it is out there sometimes.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we're glad you're here.
Thank you
okay?
very much.
And then for you, you mentioned your husband, and you know it's funny because I was married to someone who's pretty big time around here in broadcasting, and people always identify you as,
Sure.
oh, you're so and so's wife, right?
Yes.
And
True.
you're like, wait a minute, I'm my own person.
Yeah. It's so funny. Actually, Mel and I were just having this conversation on the way here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So it's kind of interesting, and
Yeah.
I did ask you. I did
And
say
I am in Detroit.
You are,
So
right.
I mean, this is his territory.
this is his. Yes, this is his
This is-
ground. Right.
I mean,
this is it.
this is his people. Everyone
is.
is like, you know.
Yes. So for anyone who
friend.
might not know, Dave Coulier
Yeah.
is your husband. And, you know, it's so funny. So my twins, who I've mentioned,
Yeah.
they were not around during Full House,
Right.
but around for Fuller House.
Yeah.
And so when I told them, hey, you know, listen, and I am
Yes, yes.
I am
Yeah,
bad
yeah,
about
yeah,
saying
yeah,
this.
yeah.
I did say,
Yeah.
so Dave Coulier's wife is going.
Yeah.
They were like, Uncle Joey. And I'm like, yeah. I said, listen, he's got, you know, he's sick. He's got cancer. And
Yeah.
and so real quick, how is he?
He's doing okay.
Okay,
Yeah. I mean, like anything, there's, you know, good days, bad days,
for
but
sure.
he is so strong and
And he's got you.
he's taking it,
Okay.
with stride. So,
And you shoveled yesterday for him.
I mean, yeah, we're just doing all the things, you know?
Well, good. Okay. Well, I mean, he is such, you know, a beloved person around the state of Michigan. And
Yes.
so I do have to tell you that my twins wrote him two
Oh
notes.
my gosh, that's so sweet.
Rumor has it one is 6 pages.
Aww. Okay, well, he's been like a little bed/couch ridden for
Okay.
this last few times. So this 6-pager is
Yeah,
going to get
good.
him through.
Awesome. I'm
Yeah,
so
he needs
excited about
material
this.
right now.
Does he?
So
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I'm so glad. And Carson and Daisy will be so thrilled. And I thank you. I hope you didn't mind. They were just so thrilled.
So sweet.
So
Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you.
And so enjoy your lunch.
Thanks.
Take the letters.
I will.
Send me a picture.
I can't wait
All
to
right,
give
and
these to
then-
him. He'll be so excited.
No, thank you so much. And what an honor to meet you.
You too.
Seriously, you and Mel, thank you so much. And Jordan is here. Jordan is the director of the Imagine More Studios, where we are. And in Chard, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I am good. So thank you for always, you know, bringing your people to me.
Welcome.
So, okay, so their event is on Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay, and so, I mean, and then they're doing another one in March right here.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do people get tickets for these events?
You can go online at imagineentertainment.com. We are almost sold out, so
Awesome.
if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, get them now.
I was going to try to sneak in,
Yep.
actually. Is that
but
okay?
there is the March
March one.
Yep.
Okay.
so-
Okay, so some tickets still available.
Yes.
Okay, and then there's another event going on.
and that same night,
Same
we do
night,
have our
it's busy.
monthly Secret Cinema series hosted
right.
by Greg
Yes.
Russell. He is absolutely fabulous. He does an introduction to the movie. You don't know what the movie is until the credits start rolling. And then after the movie, he does a Q&A with a special appearance.
Yes. So it was so funny. So I was able to be with him at the last one, and it was Mystic Pizza.
Yes.
And that was your choice,
Yes,
right?
that is one of my
That was one of
all-time
your
favorite
favorites.
movies.
And it was
Yep.
so funny because I forgotten that Julia Roberts' name in that was Daisy, which is my daughter's name.
Oh, that's funny.
And so I was like, oh, I forgot about that. But what a great movie.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
He couldn't believe how many people hadn't seen it.
Yeah, it was really, you heard people, I was there, and people
Yeah.
were like, what is this? Mystic Pizza? What? I don't understand. But everyone loved it.
Yeah.
And he's got quite the little fan club.
He does.
He does.
He
So-
does. And we also do Recline with Wine.
Yes. When is that
with
one?
him. We don't have the next one scheduled, but it will be sometime in March.
Okay, so are tickets still available for Secret Cinema?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so how do people get those tickets?
On Imagine's website,
Give it to me again.
on ImagineEntertainment.com. And then you can type in Secret Cinema. In the
Okay, and it
search
will
bar.
pop up.
Yep. Or
Okay.
you can go to, at the top of our website, this is probably the easiest, under the Imagine More tab. It's a drop down.
Okay.
That's the
Awesome. Thank you so much. And as always, we thank you and Kyle and everyone here for hosting us. It's just a beautiful facility, and we're just so grateful.
We
So
love
thank
having
Jordan.
you.
I appreciate it, Jordan. I know you got to go because you got to go give them their tour.
Thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay, so Express Health Urgent Care has 3 locations, but I happened to stop by the Southfield location to learn all about the injectables that they offer. So whether you're feeling run down, maybe you want to lose a few pounds, I had a chat
I'm
with
at the
Ollie. Let's watch.
Southfield Express Health Urgent Care. This is where they offer the weight loss shots, but not just that. They offer a whole menu of injectables, which are super important, especially as you want to age gracefully or even just feel better. So
Yep.
I want you to walk me through these.
So we have there's a couple of things you guys are aware of, maybe the vitamin C. If you're feeling under the weather, we offer that. We offer vitamin D injections. We offer glutathione, which is good for the skin, liver detox. It's good for immunity. Again, if you're feeling under the weather, you can couple that in with the vitamin C. We do have like an amino complex, which is good for recovery. It has glutamine, arginine, L-carnitine, lysine, proline. It's a bunch of amino acids you can take for recovery.
Recovery from what?
Like working out, the gym, sore. It's
I thought maybe you meant hangover.
No, you can take that for that too.
Okay, and you guys are open 7 days a week.
Yep, 7 days a week again, 8 to 6, Monday through 7 days a week, 8 to 6. And then if you want to come after 6, again, you can go down to our Berkeley location. We're open till 9, 8 to 9.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
of
It's always
course, of
a pleasure to
course. My
see you.
pleasure.
And, you
My
know,
pleasure.
who doesn't want to age gracefully, right?
Exactly.
So thanks so much.
Exactly.
Well, as Ollie said, they have 3 locations, Southfield, Berkeley, and Redford, and they are open 7 days a week. Well, it is snowing and cold across much of the U.S., and flu season is in full gear. So far, the CDC estimates that there have been at least 24 million flu illnesses, along with over 300,000 hospitalizations. So please bundle up out there, take care of yourself, and just, you know, as Melissa and Melanie had said, just kind of reset and pause when you need to so you feel healthy. Well, each month we highlight a nonprofit as our caffeinated act of kindness. And this month it is Samaritas. Kelly Dobner, she was here earlier in the month and says mental health is a huge focus So for you them. mentioned mental Let's health, watch. And I know, you know, we seem so far away from the pandemic now, but there's still the ripple effects, right?
Oh gosh, yes.
So as far as mental health and what you have seen, the stigma seems to have gone away a little bit, which has overwhelmed therapists in the system. Waiting lists are long. And how does Samaritas help with that?
In a number of ways. We like to meet people where they're at, right? So you can have really intense services. You can have in-person, one-on-one. You can engage in telehealth services, which we're finding a lot with youth. It's more and more effective than it is in person, especially through COVID, because we had to function that way through telehealth.
There was no option.
No other option, right? And it turned out to be a really beautiful thing in a lot of ways, especially with our teens and under, because their life is on screen, right? And it's not true for other age.
And again, our caffeinated act of kindness this month is Samaritas. Well, let me tell you, the music is loud and the lights are low. You may think I'm talking about a club, but I'm actually talking about Row House 13 in Beverly Hills. I recently started taking classes there, and not only is it fun, but wow, it is kicking my butt. Natalie Eggleston is here, and you're a coach there.
I am.
Okay, so we have not actually met there yet.
We haven't.
Because I go to the Wednesday morning class
Yes.
with Kate.
Yes.
But you have a degree in exercise science.
I do. Yeah.
I find that so interesting. What is that? Tell me.
So it's just going to be like how the body moves. I got into it originally, little random offshoot backstory. I got into it originally to do athletic training, and then realized that that just wasn't my passion in life. So kind of stepped away into exercise science, and after graduating, was, living in the Metro Detroit area. One of my friends is a coach there and said, I think you'd like classes. And she said, actually, I think you'd like to be a coach. And
Really?
Yeah. And it's kind of just what spawned it.
Okay, so how long have you been there?
It'll be 4 years in July.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so 4 years.
Yeah. So it's been a while.
It has been a while. Okay, so like I said, I've actually taken a couple classes
Yes.
now, and I really enjoy it. But it's so funny because they have, the lights are low, which is good, right? Because if you're self-conscious or feeling weird,
Sure.
it's like, oh, the lights are going down. I'm good. That's all right.
Yeah.
And then the music is so amazing.
Yes.
In fact, I was bugging Jake all last week. I'm like, can you send me Kate's playlist? Because I really loved it so much.
You know what? Okay, more plugging of Real House here. So we have an app that you can book your classes
Yes,
on.
I have it on my phone.
Did you know that after your class, you have a little bug on that pops up on your home screen? You can actually download the Spotify playlist from your class.
Okay, well, you're going to need to show me that
I will
because
so
I kept
happily show you
texting
that after
Jake,
class.
like, he's
Yeah.
like, go to activity.
Yeah, you know what? And that's like I'm so happy you said that because that's such a huge part of creating each of the classes.
And you
right?
guys, so the coach is responsible for every playlist.
Yeah, and
Every class is different.
every class is different. Every class has its own playlist and its own vibe and its own intention. And so, honestly, when it comes to planning a class, it starts a week ahead of time for me.
I'm sure. 'Cause
Right? Yeah.
How many classes do you teach?
I teach 3 a week.
So that's 3 different playlists.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's awesome, and it starts with, okay, what vibe do I want to bring? What intention do I want to bring? Do I want to have high energy remixes or do I want to do a little more classic rock? Typically I have a mix of everything. So you never know. It's going to go from, hip hop to classic rock to, I'm known to always have a Taylor Swift song somewhere in
We
there.
got a Swiftie on board.
You do.
How about Barry Manilow? Do you ever have Barry Manilow on board?
You know what?
'Cause he's my favorite.
I don't. I take requests.
Copacabana?
I take requests though, so we could sneak it in.
Could you sneak it in
somewhere?
Okay.
Yeah.
I could just hear like the collective moan, right? Of people like, what?
You know what? But that's the fun thing is that one song is this half of the room loves this song, this part of the room loves this song, and so on and so forth. And sometimes it's just about finding a driving beat.
Yes.
Because we row to the beat of the music in what's called swing. So we're all moving back and front together. And so as long as the song has a fun driving beat that we can follow as an instructor and as everyone in the class, that's what's most important. And really at that point, it's on me and also the room, everyone else in the room with me to keep that energy up. As long as we're rowing to something that brings us that energy that we need, that's really all that counts.
So, okay, you mentioned in swing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the challenge for me.
Sure.
Because I have like no rhythm in my life or no, I've
Oh my goodness.
failed tap dance. Oh, it's so bad. So, but it's funny because so explain what that means in swing.
Yeah. So, sometimes you go to a workout class and everyone is kind of going to their own beat or their own rhythm. We row in swing, which means we all row back and then forward together. So we're all rowing at the same time. In theory, right. So it kind of helps the room to feel like one big boat, honestly.
Because that's how you guys
yes.
talk about it.
Yeah, we think about it one boat.
And the stats are on the screen.
Yep,
right?
it's one boat,
It is-
one team.
Yes.
It's great.
It is so cool.
Yeah.
And there's like no judgment. Everyone
No.
except I really felt embarrassed. I can
Oh my
say this
goodness,
last week when I was not in swing.
You know what? I'm sure you did fantastic. I wasn't there. I'm sure you did great.
I was like, oh, wait. And I would try to like slow down.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is it's just so much fun.
Well, yeah, and you have your stats in front of you. So each rowing machine has its own stats that you'll see, and the coach will talk to you what all those stats mean. And when you come for your first class, we do a one-on-one about 50. We try to do 15 minutes, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes of sitting down,
explaining and showing.
talking about the stroke, talking about what the class is, what muscles you're engaging, things like that. And then you have your stats in front of you, and then we have big TV monitors at the front of the room. And like you said, that's our boat. So it's everyone as a total of all the meters we're rowing as the whole room.
Right.
Our stats as an average as the whole room. No one person's being called out. I see some of the individual stats on my individual
do,
monitor.
right? Okay, that's what I
so
thought.
I'll see your total meters and your
Like,
split
okay,
in a
come
given
on, Brooke,
moment.
step it up.
You know what? We keep all we keep all of our feedback so positive just to really keep you engaged and interested in moving. And yeah, so it's great.
Okay, so let's talk about all the muscles in rowing.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's not just rowing. You actually get off the machine. You have some weights.
Yeah.
You do some things.
We do some
I
things.
say some things.
Yeah. And it depends on the class type. It differs by class type.
Okay, so what are the different classes?
So I mean, so we have strength, we have signature, we have full row, restore. I'm missing one. It'll come
Express?
to me. Intervals.
Intervals.
Sorry,
Oh,
intervals.
the
I
voice of-
left you out. I'm like
The voice
I'm going
of Row
through
House.
them. Sorry. I know the voice of Jake from Row House here. So all those different classes have a different time off of the rowing machine. So for instance, strength incorporates approximately 20 minutes of consecutive floor work.
Oh, okay.
Whereas signature, I teach that twice a week. There's 5 minutes of body weight and 5 minutes of weighted floor work. And typically we approach that as a coach of trying to either focus on a certain muscle group or, combine muscle groups. Maybe it's, maybe it's all legs or maybe it's shoulders and glutes or whatever it might be. So, and we'll incorporate, like I said, some functional movements, body weight, and then weighted. And trust me, the body weight movements can be just as impactful as the weighted movements.
So and there's an express class.
And there's an express
I'm hung up
class.
on this express class. I've
I'm
never
glad
been
you
yet,
love it.
but
There-
it's like I kind of want to go just because it's like 30 minutes.
It's 30 minutes.
Right.
It's great. And the whole point of how it's programmed is it's supposed to be 30 minutes to still give you the impact of the 45 minutes, but it's a smaller portion of the day. That 15 minutes is really a big deal.
Okay. And what's funny too is that it's kind of somebody told me last week, it's just getting there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's actually once you're there, you're good, but it's getting out the door in your car, especially with this weather,
Showing up.
right? And you have to show up for yourself.
That's honestly it. I mean, and it's, we have some times where the coach will row with you most of the class, but then we do some open rate or some more individualized pieces of rowing. And during that time, it's my job just to motivate. And that's one of the things I say a lot is like, you showed up. That was the hardest part, was showing up on a snowy Tuesday night or early morning or whatever it is.
Because you do 6 a.m. classes,
I do.
right?
Yeah, I do on 6 a.m. So it's, the fact that you woke up with your alarm is huge. That you showed up and that you didn't decide to cancel is huge. Like that's a celebration in and of itself.
And rowing is kind of what I'm finding out is kind of like going there is like a way of life.
Yeah.
Right? People are like, okay, this is what I do, and hardcore and loving it. And then they walk out and go on with their lives.
Absolutely. And I think for me personally, it's been one of the most sustainable workouts I've done. I've tried a bunch of different workouts, and some I like, some I've enjoyed more than others, but this has been the one thing that, and I take classes outside of just coaching whenever I can, whenever I can pop in. Absolutely.
Right.
But it is so sustainable. And the nice thing about that is because it's low impact.
Right.
Low impact, high intensity. So you're still getting all the benefits of a high intensity cardio workout and also working 86% of the muscles in your body, but it's not a constant, hit on your muscles. It's not like running on a treadmill.
So people who have suffered an injury, they could maybe do this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have lower back scoliosis. So I have a really hard time with certain movements that involve like for me, I love the idea of a cycle class. It hurts my body. It hurts my lower body.
Okay.
I've tried it. I love it. And I think the vibe in a cycle class is amazing. But for me, this is something for me that it feels so good on my body, and it's great.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so for somebody who may have been skeptical until I tried it, what would you say as far as row house and I guess show up, right?
Show up, try it out. It's I use my mom as a great example, honestly. And she never had like a really strong fitness routine. And I said, come try a class with me. I'm teaching on this one Saturday. I'm covering a class. Come try this class. She said, okay. And now she comes every Saturday.
Really?
Yes.
That is so she's in your class every Saturday, or do you guys go together?
She goes without me.
Oh,
she goes to class. And sometimes I'll pop into class with her. I'll see her in passing.
Right.
And if I cover a Saturday, if I sub for a Saturday, I'll see her and she'll call me and ask me not to kick her butt too much that weekend. But it's okay.
Like, chill on the Taylor Swift, man.
Yeah, basically. But I use her as a perfect example of like functional movements and fitness, and also wins in little parts of your life that aren't necessarily like, and she feels good. She looks great. And some people ask me like, well, is this going to help me lose weight? Is this going to help me do this or that?
Right.
Sure, it will. But also there's things that you want to look at that aren't just what the scale says or the inches or this and that. Like can you bend over and pick up your nephew, niece, grandkids, kids? Because it's helping strengthening those muscles and that functional fitness. It helps with walking upstairs, keeping your stamina high. Your cardiovascular fitness is so important. So just things like that. I mean, for her, like her little win was she called me. She's like, Natalie, I can put my socks on without having to like stop and sit and bend over. Like she's like, I was able to put my socks on standing.
And you're like, what?
Right. And, and to someone with me when, she told me this a couple years ago, I was in my 20s, I'm like, yeah, so what? And she's like, okay, let's think about this in terms of, different generations. And functional fitness looks different from someone in their 20s to someone in their, 30s, 50s, 60s, doesn't matter.
Okay, so how would you define functional fitness?
Yeah, I would love it. So functional fitness is going to be any movements that help with your day-to-day life. Okay. So it's going to be anything to help you with, again, standing, sitting, bending over to pick something up, your balance, everything like that. So
and core too,
and
right?
Core, yeah. So people come to class like, I can't wait to work my arms in this rowing class. When in reality, it's only 10% arms, it's 60% legs, it's 30% core. So we're engaging our core so much, and working on that core is what also helps to build that balance. So we think about improving and increasing range of motion, things like that.
Okay, so one thing I do want to mention, and it's interesting to me. So I have my phone. I mean, I always have my phone with me.
Yeah.
And at the class, I set it down on the floor, and I can see it light up and all that. But what's so interesting is that the music is so loud, and you're just in this whole mindset, and I love that, being disconnected, really.
Yeah, it's, it really, people don't think I'm telling the truth when I say the classes fly by. But they fly by because each song has its own workout assigned to it or its own drill assigned to it.
Yep. Its own vibe, right?
Yeah, it is a vibe.
It
and
is.
next
It totally
thing
is.
you know, 15 minutes are done, 30 minutes are done. And a 45-minute class is over in a flash. As both taking class and instructing a class, sometimes I blink and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're already almost to the cool down. I can't believe it.
Well, and that's a good point, because never have I looked at my time. Like, is this over yet? It's never been like that.
I judge the quality of my fitness class by that.
Okay.
Like outside, like just as far as how I'm enjoying it as me. Like, I mean, of course the fitness class is probably great, but when it comes to am I enjoying it? I mean, just like the guests before me, like let's use our time wisely. Go to something that is going to make you happy.
Yep, bring you joy, right?
Bring you joy. And I don't want to be watching my watch going, oh my gosh, I have 30
I can
more
check
minutes
this off
of
my
this.
list, right?
Yeah. Or, oh my gosh, I have to do this for 30 more minutes. It's like, I get to do this for 30 more minutes, not that I have to.
Right.
It's a huge difference.
And it's a fun option.
It's a fun
It is
option.
a fun option. That needs to be the new tagline.
There we go. I love it. It really is
fun
though.
option.
It really is.
Okay, so the class I go to the Wednesday morning class.
Yeah.
It's women only.
Yes.
It's at 9:30. I love that kind of, because it's just like, okay, I don't have to care what I look like.
Sure.
I'll just walk in and just get it done.
Totally feel that.
Okay, so when are you coaching?
I coach Tuesdays, 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. And then Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. and 7:15 p.m. So those are my class times. So I'm there Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. And then every now and again I'll sub if someone needs, and you'll see that, you'll kind of see random people pop up. And then we also have a rotating Friday class. So I teach the last Friday of the month.
Awesome.
Or the fourth Friday of the month, I should say. And those Fridays are, they're 60-minute classes.
Oh.
I know.
I'm like,
I know. So for a typical class, it's only 15 more minutes. And that 15 minutes is kind of divided amongst different portions of the class.
Okay.
And, but it'd be double the time than your express class. So I know that's a big
Right?
It's
I'm
a big
like,
ask.
wow, that's a lot.
But you know what? Just like the other classes, it flies by.
Hey man, if you got the right playlist, you're good to go.
No kidding. I'll start checking out the discography of Barry Manilow for you.
Will you?
And start
I
putting a
love
few
that.
in there. Little
be
needle
like,
drop for you.
Copacabana.
Listen, I'm sure there's a solid remix of that would just go, that would be awesome.
Oh my God, Natalie, thank you so much. And
Thank
the first
you.
class, I think, at Row House is always free, right?
Your first class is always free. I love
that.
Yes. So
I love free.
No commitment. You don't need
So
to.
you can still buy eggs.
That's a whole nother conversation.
I know, right? It is. I can't believe I said that, but whatever. Because eggs are protein, and protein is good for you.
That's why.
See? Got it.
I like the circle
You
back,
like
but
that?
yeah.
I can always call it back.
But your first class is always free. We're all, there's always a spot in class for you. And honestly, it's such a great time. So I hope everyone has a chance to come check it out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. A pleasure to see you. I will see you again. Okay.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I can't wait. I'll be like, I'm rowing, not in swing, but I'm rowing.
It's okay.
I rowed. Okay, well, this is Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen. This is season 2, episode 15. And like I said, it is the middle of February. Flu cases are up, and we are still managing to have a lot of fun. Of course, Barbie is here, and Barbie is not only my stylist, but directs the show for me. Was also at the Redford Theater.
I was at
for
the Redford
Casablanca
Theater, yeah.
to witness my first MC gig.
I did. It was beautiful.
I was so nervous.
I can't believe she's not a romantic. I can't
am
believe
not.
I'm friends with someone who's
Yes.
not a romantic.
No, totally not. Totally not.
I bawled my eyes out.
But it was Casablanca's riveting, right?
It is very riveting. Everybody should see it.
Yes.
And I envy anybody who hasn't seen it. I envy their first time experience with it. So
Yes. No. So that was just such a fun time, Valentine's weekend. And then the funny part about that is they were showing Casablanca in the afternoon for the matinee, but they were showing Misery
yeah.
Saturday
The two
night,
opposites of
right? Two
relationships,
opposites.
right?
Like Valentine, no Valentine, take your pick. So, all right. Well, I think we had some good conversations today.
You had a lot of really good conversations.
And,
Yeah.
Melissa, Melanie, and Jordan is so much fun, and Natalie, of course.
Yes.
Okay, so we have our giveaway, and, of course, we had to cancel the After Dark show last week, the Galentine's edition. It was such a bummer because the weather was not cooperating.
Valentine's will never be the same.
No, and it was so sad. But we have a lot of stuff that we were going to raffle off that night and give away. And so this bag is... I'm not going to say what's in it, but maybe the chocolates that, of course, I can't eat, but so many men.
It's called So Many Men.
It is called So Many Men. So there's some cool things in this gift bag. So who's our winner today?
Our winner is Amy Lauder
Oh,
of Farmington
yay.
Hills.
Woo! All right, Amy, congratulations. We appreciate you for always watching. And I don't know, the temperature, it is... More
It's
snow.
frigid.
It's frigid.
It's down low.
It is. Yes, it is frigid. Big thank you to Ben always, and a big thank you to Liz and everyone out there. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on your Monday morning. We appreciate you. And as I always say, keep the coffee hot. We'll see you next week. Bye. See ya.